Well, good day. Welcome back to Allison Customs Project Car TV. I'm Jeff Allison, and this is what's going on today in my shop. I think I'm finally ready to get back on the Scout. It's a nice rainy day. I'm ready to hunker down and get some stuff done on here so we can get this thing undercoated and all the other little details done so we can start putting this Scout back together. So first thing we're going to do is pull this fender off, pull the inner fender back out of the way, and I think we're going to kind of just work on the inside of the truck, getting the rest of the floor, you know, any holes welded up, the other side of the transmission tunnel cut, welded, and just concentrate on getting the cab done. And then we'll come back to the fenders and finishing up a little bit on the quarter panels that we have to do, but we're close. I want to start sewing some of this up so we can get it undercoated, firewall painted, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's where we're at. For that, I think we're going to try and go ahead and pull the body back off the frame also. Then we'll move forward with all this. So. Okay, now that the body is off the chassis again, this is on the passenger side still, this corner was going to get in contact with the transfer case just barely. If I'd have held it back like a half an inch and done my little wall here a half an inch further aft, be no problem. But it's just the corner, so what we're going to do is we're just going to make a little tunnel there and then weld that in, and we'll cut this bottom corner out from underneath. So I made a little pattern. It's just a couple triangles. That'll get us all the way into the corner there, and then that'll finish this out. We can duplicate it on the other side, although I'll probably just shorten it up by the half inch. And it's really only on the bottom that you can do it. Up here you need the space, and up here you need the space for the seat and for the rail. Down here it's just kind of some dead space. So I don't know, we'll either shorten it up a half inch or we'll do the same thing. We'll just do it from the beginning with something similar to this. So I'm gonna go cut this out of metal. Okay, we got our little piece made. Set it in there. I did a little bit of trimming on it to get the back edge nice and straight. The thing I gotta do is a little bit more than 90 degrees. No, it's not too much. That looks a little better. So we'll get a couple tack welds on it so that it's in place and it's holding all the sheet metal together, and then we'll get underneath and cut the reverse of that out, and then we'll weld it from the bottom side so that we don't have as much grinding to do.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to Allison Customs Project Car TV. Recently, I've been working on the Scout, and then I got started down the path to getting the floor done. Then I just had some days where I needed to go get some other things done, including recently we had a long weekend, so made a trip down to Tucson to see our youngest son and help him move into his new condo he bought, fix up a few things. So that was a nice trip, but I'm kind of ready to get back on the truck. It's been cooling off here, so we're starting to see 50 degrees or thereabouts first thing in the morning, and then still warming up to the mid high 80s. I think we even had a 90-degree day a few days ago, so getting pretty big temperature swings throughout the day. But either way, I'm ready to get back to it. So it's about 5:30 in the morning. I've got my Mighty Car Mods mug. Try and say that fast 3 times. Put some hot chocolate in there to get me going this morning, and then we'll get back on it. Right now, what I need to do is finish up a few more areas on the bottom of the truck that I need to weld up and grind. I found an area in the transmission tunnel on the passenger side where we started that I didn't even weld, so we got to weld that up. Not that big a deal, just, this is the time to find those things. Still getting a little bit of the undercoating off, but we're getting close to having all that off. And then I went ahead and made larger plates, and you'll see those for the bottom side of where the roll bar is mounting. I'd made the smaller plates, and they should be sufficient, but I just got to looking at it. I was like, if it was this big, I'd feel very comfortable in, and I was able to tie with the larger plate. I was able to tie it into some cross members and stuff, so just kind of spreading loads should you ever need to use that roll bar. Continue on with that, and hopefully today we will have the bottom side of the truck done. That's kind of my goal. We may get interrupted and this gets stretched out into tomorrow or the next day, but if we can get the bottom side of the truck done today, then it's a matter of going in and finishing anything on the top side of the floor, any grinding, welding, hole filling, anything that needs to be done. And when that is complete, we'll be ready to undercoat the bottom. So I did put the truck on a rotisserie, which you've seen, and that was just for convenience. I immediately took it off the frame, set it onto my body cart, was getting started working, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to crawl underneath this thing to get to all this stuff. It's not easy to film, so it's very difficult to try and get you any kind of image of what I'm doing. Instead, I burned another couple hours and got it on the rotisserie, and it just makes it a lot easier. Mostly it makes it more convenient because I can sit down on a stool and work a third of the truck, and then I can stand up and work the middle third, and then I can flip the body over and spin it around so that it's facing the same direction for the camera, and work the other third back sitting on a stool or whatever, which means you're not as fatigued at the end of the day. I realize a rotisserie is an expensive tool, and it's not necessarily something that you have a lot of use for. I mean, I use mine, I'm lucky if I put 1 car a year on it. This year, the Scout is the first thing that's probably been on it in 2 years. I do plan for one of the other projects that I've recently introduced to end up on this. Whether that'll happen in this year or not, this calendar year, I'm not sure. It just depends how long it takes us to get enough of it solid that we are not afraid that we're going to be bowing it in the middle. We'll see on that, but that would be it. It'd be 2 cars in 1 year, and that's me having how many cars in here all the time. I am going to kind of introduce you to my rotisserie in a Tool Bag Tuesday. With all that, and when I'm done with my hot chocolate, we're going to work. Another thing you'll see I added was some of these square plates to the bottom of where the seat mounts, and that's all it is. Just 2 1/4 square with a hole big enough that the factory, and this isn't quite the same shape as the factory. The hole is at one end It's about the same length, but the hole is at one end versus in the middle. But these are their weld-in nuts. You've seen me use them on other parts of the project here. But the idea is that, and I guess theirs are a little bit bigger because that hole just barely clears the factory weld-on nut. The idea is you got 18 gauge sheet metal is all that is holding you in the truck. You got, you know, maybe 4 of these little nuts. And of course, because of the way the seat is mounted and then people crawl in and out of it for 50 years, that part of the sheet metal ends up getting pushed down, and it makes a divot from the inside of the truck. Then water collects there, and in the case of this truck, it had the vinyl mat in there, but it had like jute padding underneath that. I don't know why you need padding under a vinyl mat, but they had it. That held water, and then it would rust right around your seat mount. So then your seat's not really mounted so well anymore. All of mine had a little rust around them, and I just took a hammer, flattened the sheet metal out there. Then I welded this plate around the nut, that moving the load out. And then I took another nut, I ran a bolt into it, took one of these nuts, spun it on there, and then I would make sure that I was trying to, you know, like close to 90 degrees to the original nut. And then I'd go ahead and weld this on, or I have been welding them on. I got one more yet to do. And my thinking there is the little bit of rust that I had, I can weld that up from the inside. I've spread the load of the seat mount out, and I've added an additional, I don't know, 1/4 inch of threads of the female threads for it to all capture in. So I just feel a little better about the fact that your seat's mounted to sheet metal. At least now I've spread that load out a little bit, and the way we mount that plate for the bucket seats, that riser plate thing, that's helped spread the load out as well, because we're not just driving it down on 4, you know, small feet that the seat would be pressing down and can divot the sheet metal. So to me, that's going to make it stronger and more reliable, and long term it's going to hopefully keep it from divoting and collecting moisture and rusting. My plan for this whole thing is to make it to where you can hose it out. Wiring and everything else is going to be somewhat waterproof. Whether you had the top on or off, the idea would be that you could just hose it out and keep going. So I did go with leather for the seats versus, say, vinyl, but that's because I don't like to stick to vinyl. So anyway, let's move on.
getting close. About what we got left. This goes here for the bottom of the roll cage. So this plate for the bottom of the roll cage, and then I think I'm going to put a tack weld or two there. Need to grind off these welds. Just look it over real close. Make sure we're not missing anything else. And then the final thing we'll do is the transmission cutout over here. So we've got the patterns from when we made the first one, so we'll just copy those patterns onto the second one and make all of them again in a mirror version. Install those. So I think we're finally close. It's been a lot of days of welding and grinding just to clean things up. So we need to take out this hump that you can see like I did on this side. So that just smoothed it out, makes it look like it should have looked from the beginning. And that does take a little time. That probably took me a couple, 3, maybe 4 hours to cut it out clean, weld it up, and then smooth it out. And then I went ahead, and once I'd done that, then I went ahead and made the splash guard for the rear. And I'm thinking I may, I just keep adding stuff to it. I'm thinking I may add, a couple inches right here just to keep stuff from splashing up inside there. I did go ahead and make a mount or a brace for this side, and we'll have to do one over here. I was wrong. That's not the last thing we got. We've got 4 or 5 more little things to do, but probably, I know I keep thinking one more day, but there's at least one more day to do this right. So there's a little crease here and then a big dent here. So we'll probably get on that tomorrow or the next day and pull that out. Most of the rest of the dents down here, up in this pan, I was able just to go ahead and hammer all those out from the inside out. So this I can't get to the inside of, so we'll have to pull that. And there's a little one down here that we'll have to actually pull, because I can't really get to the inside of that to do any hammer work. That's it for today, and that's it for this week, because I already have probably 14 or 15 hours of video that I'm going to have to get down to a good 30-minute chunk or less for you guys so that I can keep your interest a little bit. But just know we're going to keep going and knock these other things out. We'll get probably another video of cleaning a few more things up, although probably very little of that video will be on the bottom side of the truck. We'll move to the inside, get that stuff cleaned up, and get this thing ready for the undercoat. So thanks again for watching. I'm Jeff Allison, and this is Allison Customs Project Car TV. Please like and subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, all the YouTube stuff. Tell your friends about us, whatever you can do. I still have some t-shirts available, the black ones and a few gray ones with the Allison Customs logo and everything on them. If anybody's interested, just send me an email at jeffrey@allisoncustoms.com. Let me know your size. I'll check through them, make sure I got sizes before we collect any money, because we are starting to run low on inventory. And I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to order that color again or maybe get some red and blue and other shirts, something different.